The Psychological Reconstruction of Iran, From Authoritarianism to a Democratic Culture. Article 8. Freedom of Political Belief. How do we stop seeing opponents as enemies? One of authoritarianism's deepest psychological legacies is not simply the suppression of free speech, but the transformation of political opponents into enemies. In such a culture, disagreement is no longer seen as a normal part of public life. Instead, it is treated as disloyalty, betrayal, or danger. As this mindset spreads, trust erodes, dialogue collapses, and exclusion replaces cooperation. From a psychological perspective, differences of opinion are both natural and necessary. Every individual understands the world through unique experiences, education, personality, and social influences. Diversity of thought is therefore a sign of a healthy society, not a weakness. The problem begins when disagreement is perceived as a threat rather than an opportunity to learn. Authoritarian thinking thrives on this fear. It divides society into two opposing camps, us and them. We possess the truth. They represent danger. This simplified worldview creates an illusion of certainty while eliminating nuance, empathy, and critical reflection. Political polarization soon replaces dialogue, and loyalty to a group becomes more important than the search for truth. The same psychological pattern extends beyond politics. In many Middle Eastern societies, including Iran, divorce often becomes a relationship of hostility rather than mutual respect. Former spouses become enemies instead of partners in raising their children, leaving the children to bear the emotional cost. The mindset that turns political disagreement into enmity can also destroy personal relationships. Democracy requires a different psychological culture. Respecting opposing views does not mean agreeing with them. It means defending every person's right to hold and express different opinions peacefully. This principle lies at the heart of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which protects freedom of thought, conscience, religion, expression, peaceful assembly, and participation in public life. Human rights matter most when they protect those with whom we disagree. Laws alone, however, cannot create a democratic society. Freedom must also be learned. That process begins in childhood, where families and schools should encourage children to think independently, ask questions, express their views, and take part in discussion. A child who experiences respect for independent thought develops confidence, responsibility, empathy, and the ability to resolve conflict peacefully, and is far more likely to respect the rights of others as an adult. By contrast, children taught only obedience often grow into adults who either submit unquestioningly to authority or seek to dominate others. Freedom is therefore not only a political right, but also a psychological skill that must be nurtured throughout life. The Iran of tomorrow needs institutions that actively resist political polarization and ideological absolutism. The purpose of democratic government is not merely to maintain order or hold elections, but to create the conditions in which a rainbow of ideas can flourish. A healthy democracy is never built on a single voice. It enables different political, religious, philosophical, and cultural perspectives to coexist, compete peacefully, and learn from one another within a shared commitment to the rule of law, human dignity, and universal human rights. Such diversity broadens public debate, strengthens collective decision-making, and reduces the risk that any single ideology or political movement can dominate society unchecked. Political pluralism is not a weakness, but one of democracy's greatest strengths. Iran's psychological reconstruction will begin when citizens learn to distinguish disagreement from hostility. Freedom of belief becomes meaningful only when every individual can think freely, speak openly, assemble peacefully, and participate in shaping the country's future without fear. Iran's future does not depend on everyone thinking alike. It depends on building a culture that values diversity of thought, protects independent minds, and sees disagreement not as a threat, but as an opportunity for learning, reform, innovation, and collective progress. Democracy is, above all, a way of living together with people whose beliefs differ from our own, while recognizing their equal dignity, rights, and shared responsibility for the future of society. Mahmoud Ashkanian, neuropsychiatrist, PhD.